As of February 26, 2026, the Indiana Fever cannot sign a single player. Not Kelsey Mitchell, not one free agent, not a backup, nobody. And as of this morning, the entire 2026 season has an expiration date, March 10th. That's 2 weeks away. If Herb Simon and the other WNBA owners don't move, the season Caitlin Clark was supposed to carry into the history books could go dark before it ever starts. And the players? They already voted. 98% of them. They are ready to walk. This isn't a rumor. This isn't a negotiating tactic. This is a countdown clock, and the Fever have more to lose than almost anyone else in this league. Today we're going to tell you exactly what's at stake for Indiana and why Herb Simon's approach to this negotiation could cost him the most valuable season in franchise history. Stay with us, because the next 2 weeks could change everything. Let's go back to December 2025. WNBA players voted on something that had never happened before in the league's 29-year history. They authorized a strike. Not someday, not in theory. Nneka Ogwumike and the Players' Union Executive Committee were handed the power to pull the plug, quote, when necessary. 98%. That's not a close vote. That's a mandate. Now here's what your local sports anchor probably didn't tell you. That vote didn't come out of nowhere. It came after a 15-month negotiation where players watched franchise values explode. The Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire sold as expansion franchises for hundreds of millions of dollars, and a new television deal land that is worth more than anything this league has ever seen. And their paycheck? In 2025, the average WNBA player made $120,000 a year. To put that in perspective, that's less than what most NBA players spend on one road trip. Now here's where the story gets personal for Fever fans. Because of this stalled negotiation, free agency is completely frozen. Every player in the WNBA who isn't on a rookie contract is technically a free agent right now, and nobody can sign anywhere. That includes Kelsey Mitchell, who right now is competing in Unrivaled, the winter league where WNBA stars play during the offseason. Mitchell is one of the most dynamic guards in this league, and she is sitting in limbo, waiting on a contract that can't even be offered until two sides stop fighting about revenue sharing. Just 5 days ago, Mitchell went on Lisa Leslie's podcast and said the uncertainty is, her word, scary. She said none of her teammates on her Unrivaled squad know what their future holds. That's Caitlin Clark's backcourt partner. That's the Fever's #1 free agency priority. And right now, Indiana can't even make her an offer. Now, Aliyah Boston is a different story. Boston is still on her rookie contract. She's already locked in with Indiana. But here's what that actually means in the context of this CBA fight. The deal Boston signed was negotiated under the old system, the one that capped the Supermax at $249,000. The new CBA will determine what she's worth going forward, what kind of raises she can earn, what kind of franchise she's committed herself to. If Herb Simon's side won't pay players fairly, keeping Aliyah Boston happy long-term is not a guarantee, and she knows it. These aren't minor details. The 2026 WNBA draft is scheduled for April 13th. Training camps open April 19th. The season tips off May 8th. That's 12 weeks. And right now, the Fever can't do a single thing to build their roster. So where does Herb Simon fit into all of this? Simon has owned the Indiana Fever for over 4 decades. He's one of the senior owners in this league, the longest tenured owner in NBA history, inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame just last year, and how WNBA owners vote, how they negotiate, and what they're willing to pay. Simon has influence over all of it. On the other side of the table sits WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, who represents the league's position in these negotiations. And right now, that position is a long way from where the players need it to be. The players want 27.5% of gross revenue. Engelbert's league is offering something very different. Players paid off net revenue, meaning after the owners take out operating expenses. Players call that a shell game, a way to make a big number look generous while controlling what actually counts. Think about it this way. If you and a business partner split profits after expenses, but your partner decides what counts as an expense, how much control do you really have? That's what Nneka Ogwumike and the executive committee are fighting about. Not just the dollar amount, the formula. And as of this morning, Engelbert's league told the union, if we don't have a framework by March 10th, The 2026 season schedule is in jeopardy. Now here's the part of this story that almost nobody is talking about. Caitlin Clark signed an 8-year deal with Nike worth up to $28 million. 3 weeks ago, she made her national television debut as a special contributor on NBC's Basketball Night in America, sitting alongside Hall of Famers Carmelo Anthony and Reggie Miller at Madison Square Garden. If Nneka Ogwumike and the executive committee call a strike, Clark doesn't need the league's paycheck to survive. She would be fine. But here's the question that is sitting like a live wire inside the Indiana Fever locker room right now. Does Caitlin Clark cross a picket line? That's not a hypothetical. That's a real decision that could define her legacy off the court. And Clark, to her credit, didn't dodge it. On February 1st, live on NBC, she said this: "I think all of women's sports. I think this is one of the biggest moments we've ever had. I feel very confident that we're going to get something done. Very confident." That's what she said on national television, with the March 10th deadline still 2 weeks away. If a deal gets done, that quote ages beautifully. If it doesn't, if the season gets disrupted, that statement becomes the thing she has to answer for. And every owner in this league, including Herb Simon, watched her say it. March 10th. That's 14 days from right now. The league and the players are still billions of dollars apart on revenue sharing. The WNBPA says Cathy Engelbert's offer would cause players to lose money in real terms when adjusted for expenses. The league says the players' proposal is, and this is their word, unrealistic. In 1994, the NHL had a 104-day lockout. In 1998, the NBA went dark for half a season. Those sports survived, but both leagues paid a price in fan trust that took years to rebuild. The WNBA has never lost a game to a work stoppage in 29 years, not once, and the league is coming off its most-watched season ever, driven largely by the Indiana Fever and a player from Iowa who changed the conversation about women's basketball forever. A strike right now would be the most expensive thing that's ever happened to this league, not in dollars, in momentum. The owners know that, Nneka Ogwumike and the players know that. And Herb Simon, who has been in professional sports long enough to remember when nobody watched women's basketball at all, he knows it too. So here's where things stand. 2 weeks, a franchise in limbo. Nneka Ogwumike and 98% of WNBA players authorized to stop everything. And Cathy Engelbert's league just set the first real deadline of this entire negotiation. Kelsey Mitchell is competing in Unrivaled, telling podcasts that her future is scary. Aliyah Boston is under contract. But watching everything unfold, knowing the new CBA determines what her next deal looks like. And Caitlin Clark just went on national television and said she's confident a deal gets done. 14 days to prove her right. And the Indiana Fever, the team that finally had everything in place to make a championship run, are waiting on Herb Simon's side of the table to make a move that doesn't just protect the owner's bottom line. Because here's the thing about a deadline. It only means something if someone's willing to let it expire. If you want to follow how this plays out and what a work stoppage would actually mean for the Fever's roster and the Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire expansion drafts, subscribe and hit the bell. We're covering this until a deal gets done.